Old Tucson Studios, Arizona, March 1959. A commotion breaks out at the edge of the set, and John Wayne is right in the middle of it. "This is a closed set," Wayne says to someone the crew can't quite see yet. "I understand that, Mr. Wayne," comes a voice, older and rough around the edges. "But I need you to understand something. What you're filming right now, you're getting it wrong." To understand this moment, we have to look at the scene. It's 9 a.m., 3 weeks into the production of Rio Bravo. The desert heat is already turning the set into an oven. If you know the film, you know Dean Martin plays Dude, a deputy who fell into a bottle and is clawing his way back out. John Wayne is the sheriff who refuses to give up on him. For 2 hours, they've been shooting the same scene, the moment where Dude tries to roll a cigarette with shaking hands. The audience needs to feel every ounce of his shame and desperation. In 1959, Dean Martin is untouchable. He has the #1 album in the country and is selling out Vegas. When he walks onto a set, the crew lights up because Dean makes everything feel effortless. But that's the problem with playing a drunk when you're Dean Martin. Everyone expects the charm, the wink behind the stumble, the smile that says, "I'm in on the joke." Director Howard Hawks has watched take after take, and it's just not clicking. Dean is doing the mechanics, the trembling fingers, the spilled tobacco, but something is missing. The crew is restless. Dean makes jokes between takes to keep it light. "Maybe Dude needs a drink to steady his hands," he quips, and the crew laughs. Hawks calls cut. "Let's take 5. That's when a security guard appears, escorting an older man in a rumpled suit toward the exit. Before we continue, I want to thank you, the viewer, and my 120 subscribers. I appreciate your support from the bottom of my heart. "Sir, you can't be back here. This is a closed set," the guard insists. "I know it is," the man replies. He looks to be about 65 or 70. His suit is old but clean. His shoes are scuffed but polished. "But my grandson wandered off from the visitors area. I tracked him over here. He's 8, probably hiding around those horse trailers." The guard shakes his head, but the man stops. He's staring at the set, at Dean, who just rolled a perfect cigarette on the first try because his real hands are as steady as a surgeon's. "Sir, you're doing it wrong," the man says louder. It's not a shout, but the voice of someone used to being heard. Notices. He walks over, his granite face still. "Is there a problem here?" "No problem, Mr. Wayne," the guard says, "just relocating this gentleman." Wayne looks at the old man. He sees a certain bearing, a way of holding himself despite the cheap suit and the slight trembling in his hands. "What do you mean we're doing it wrong?" Wayne asks. "That scene with the cigarette," he gestures toward Dean. "He's playing it like someone who wants sympathy. A drunk at the bottom doesn't want sympathy, he wants to be invisible." "And you know this how?" Wayne asks. "Because I was a sheriff for 23 years, Mr. Wayne, and I lost my badge to the bottle." The man's voice doesn't waver. "What you're filming is what people think it looks like. I know what it feels like, and there's a difference." The set goes silent. Dean walks over, curious. Hawks calls out, "Duke, we're burning daylight," but Wayne ignores him. "You served?" Wayne asks. "First War, France." "What's your name?" "Elias Brennan." Dean arrives, holding his prop cigarette. "Mr. Brennan thinks I'm doing it wrong." He says it, and the charm is there, but there's a defensive edge to it. "I know you are," Elias says, meeting his eyes. "No disrespect, Mr. Martin, but you're playing the Hollywood version. Clean, digestible, the kind that makes audiences feel something without making them uncomfortable." "And what should I be playing?" Dean asks. "The truth." Elias pulls his hands from his pockets. They're trembling, really trembling. "You want to know what a man looks like at the bottom, when he's trying to prove he's worth something and his own body won't cooperate? I'll show you." Wayne and Dean exchange a glance. "Mr. Brennan," Wayne says, "would you mind staying for a bit?" "What about my grandson?" "We'll find him," Wayne says, turning to the guard. "Radio the horse area. Have someone bring the boy here. He can watch from the visitors' chairs." Then back to Elias. "I think we could use your help." They bring a chair for Elias right next to the director. Hawks isn't thrilled, but he doesn't argue with Wayne. Soon a production assistant leads an 8-year-old boy onto the set, Tommy, clutching a toy sheriff's badge. "Grandpa!"
the boy cries. Elias puts a hand on his shoulder. Tommy, sit right here and don't touch anything. How old? Wayne asks. 8. It's his birthday, Elias says, his voice softening. His daddy, my son, died 2 years ago in a car accident. It's just us now. I wanted to give him something special. Dean crouches down to Tommy. Happy birthday, Tommy. Your grandpa is about to help us make a good movie. He's the real thing. Dean stands and looks at Elias. All right, Mr. Brennan, teach me. Elias takes a breath. Mr. Martin, you're treating this like a gag. When you're trying to roll that cigarette, you shouldn't be thinking about the tobacco. You should be thinking about everyone watching you. You're thinking about how you used to do this without a second thought, and now you can't even manage this one simple thing. I'm showing the struggle, Dean says. You're showing the action, not the weight, Elias counters. He picks up the tobacco pouch. His hands fumble. It's not about the cigarette. It's about what it means that you can't roll it. You're thinking about every person you failed, every moment you can't get back. Hawks leans forward. What did you lose, Mr. Brennan? Elias looks at his grandson. My wife, my son, my home, my badge was the last to go. He tells them about a call for a missing girl in the desert. He wasn't sober. By the time he organized the search, she'd been out in the heat for 6 hours. She was okay, but he wasn't. He handed in his badge the next day. He lost his wife to cancer 2 years later. She spent her final months taking care of him instead of the other way around. When I see you up there, Mr. Martin, Elias says, I don't see a cigarette. I see my wife's face the last time she looked at me. The disappointment, the exhaustion, the acceptance that I wasn't going to change. Tommy is watching his grandfather with an expression too old for an 8-year-old. Dean isn't smiling anymore. He realizes that for what seemed like a small scene, someone out there lived that life. He puts a hand on Elias's shoulder. Show me. Elias tries to roll the cigarette. His hands shake violently. Tobacco spills everywhere. He doesn't act for the camera. He just fails. Then he presses his hands flat against the table, pressing down with all his might until the cords stand out in his neck. That's what you do, Elias whispers. You try to make them stop. You press them down or you sit on them. Anything so nobody sees how bad it is. He tries again, and the paper tears. He looks up at Dean, his eyes wet, but no tears falling. That's what dude feels. Not that he wants a drink, but that he wants to be the man he used to be, and he doesn't know if that man still exists. The set is deathly silent. Dean looks at Hawks. I want to do it again. First take, better, but Dean is still thinking. What were you thinking about when you tried to roll it? Dean asked Elias. I was thinking about Tommy's 3rd birthday. I promised I'd be there. I showed up 2 days later, and he'd already learned not to count on me. My son told me if I didn't get sober, I'd never see Tommy again. I didn't figure it out until after my son died, and the state was going to take the boy. I've been sober 2 years now. I did it for him, but I should have done it for my wife. You're always carrying everything you broke on the way down. Dean turns away, takes a breath, and steps back to the table. Second take. Dean picks up the pouch. He isn't Dean Martin anymore. He is Dude. His hands shake with a real, visceral fear. He doesn't look at the camera. He focuses on the lumpy, ugly cigarette. He tries to bring it to his lips, misses, pauses, and presses his palms flat against the table, exactly like Elias. He takes a real, ragged breath. He finally licks the paper, seals it, and looks at it. In that look is every ounce of shame and fragile hope Elias described. The king of cool is gone. There is only a broken man trying to be whole. Hawks lets the silence hang for 10 seconds. Cut. That's the one. The crew erupts. Dean walks over to Elias and shakes his hand. Thank you. You did the hard part. Dean pulls a silver Zippo from his pocket, a prop, and presses it into Elias's hand. You lived it. That takes a courage I've never had to find. Dean crouches down to Tommy. Your grandpa helped make something true today. You should be proud of him. I am, Tommy says. Wayne puts a hand on Elias's shoulder. Mr. Brennan, you made something real here. That's rarer than you think. Rio Bravo was released in March 1959. It was a masterpiece. Critics raved about Dean Martin's surprising depth and raw vulnerability. Dean never told the story of Elias Brennan to the public, but in 1987, when his son Richie asked how he found that performance, Dean told him about an old sheriff and a grandson. "What happened to them?" Richie asked. "I don't know," Dean said. "I hope they made it." There is no official record of Elias and Tommy Brennan after that day. They were just two people who wandered onto a set, shared their truth, and helped create a piece of cinema history. Elias wasn't a traditional hero, but he had the guts to be honest about his failures in front of the grandson he fought to save. In a town of beautiful lies, they were the most real things in the room.